This is the story of an 18-year-old girl named Samantha Koenig. She didn't come from a well-off family and worked at a small coffee shop called Common Grounds to make ends meet. She was the only employee working there during her shifts. On February 2, 2012, Samantha's boyfriend tried calling and texting her multiple times, but she never responded. After exhausting all options, he went to her house and spoke with her father, asking if he had heard from Samantha. But her father hadn't been able to reach her either. That's when her boyfriend knew something was wrong. Together they went to the police and reported her missing. At first the police only had one lead, the coffee shop where she worked. They decided to check the store's security cameras. When they reviewed the footage from February 1st, the night before Samantha disappeared, everything seemed normal at first. She was working as usual. But then out of nowhere she suddenly stepped back, raised both hands in the air and turned off the store lights. Moments later she walked out of the shop with someone else. The footage was blurry and the second person's face wasn't visible. With no other leads, the police asked the public for help in finding Samantha. Days passed and there was still no sign of her. Then on February 24th, 3 weeks after her disappearance, something strange happened. Her boyfriend received a text message from her. At first he thought it was really her. But when he looked closer, the message told him to go to a specific location in a park. Suspicious, he immediately contacted the police and they went to the location together. What they found was chilling. There were 2 things left behind. A ransom note demanding $30,000. A photo of Samantha tied up. It was clear this was a kidnapping for ransom. The note also instructed them to transfer the money into Samantha's bank account. This meant the kidnapper had forced her to reveal her PIN and planned to withdraw the money using her card. Samantha's father wired the money as instructed. But the police used this as a trap. They monitored every ATM transaction made from her account, hoping to catch the person withdrawing the cash. It worked. Each time the money was withdrawn, the security cameras showed the same man. Someone wearing glasses and a face mask, making it impossible to see his face. He also used different ATMs across multiple locations to avoid being traced. But after days of tracking, the police finally identified and arrested him. His name was Israel Keys. At first he denied everything. But under pressure he finally confessed. Here's what really happened. On the night of February 1st, Samantha was working when Keys walked into the shop, pulled out a gun and aimed it at her. That's why she stepped back and raised her hands. He then ordered her to turn off the lights. After that, he climbed over the counter, locked the back door and tied her up. At first, Keys only intended to rob the store. But then he decided to take Samantha with him. He forced her into his car at gunpoint and drove her to his house. Once there, he locked her inside his shed. The next day, he strangled her to death. After killing her, Keys went on a trip with his girlfriend and daughter, acting as if nothing had happened. When he returned home days later, her body was still there, mostly intact. He had wrapped her in a tarp, and since the weather was freezing, decomposition was slow. That's when he got an idea. He took her body out, put makeup on her, and used wires to force her eyes open, just to make it look like she was still alive. Then he took a picture of her and used it to demand ransom. After taking the photo, he dismembered her body and dumped the remains into a frozen river. It turned out that Israel Keys was not just a kidnapper, he was a serial killer. He had murdered multiple people before, but no one had caught him. Until Samantha Koenig.